Hey loves, welcome back to Day Spills Tea. I, of course, am the lovely Day. And this week we are back to talk about Real Housewives of Potomac. So much has happened, including a reconciliation between Candiace and Mia, which I think is pretty dope. But then also this week we got Karen's wedding, which I love weddings. And I really thought that Karen looked absolutely beautiful. I thought all the ladies looked lovely. Not sure what Ashley was wearing. Maybe she was planning to go to a club later. I don't know, but like her whole hoo-hoo was almost out. Anyways, before we jump into the episode, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button to show me some love because I do it for the likes. Make sure you leave some comments down below and let me know your thoughts on the episode. Let me know your thoughts on Candiace and Chris's interaction where they're yelling after she says that Michael has white privilege. And then let me know your thoughts on Michael saying he about to leave and Juan saying, yeah, I'm about to leave too. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and do that. Ring the little notification bell so that way you get a notification every time I post a new video. And the cool thing about the notifications is if you're fast enough, then you get to watch it before all of them ads get added into it and you don't have to watch no commercials. So subscribe, ring the notification bell. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. So the episode pretty much starts out with Karen and Ray talking to their event planner, getting ready to have their wedding the very next day. And I thought it was really cute because Karen said something about having a big day tomorrow and Ray was like, what's tomorrow? But I noticed all this season we've been getting little glimpses into Ray's personality and his sense of humor, and it's actually quite endearing. Like, you know, back in the day I kind of felt like, why is she with this old man? But Ray is probably a good time. Uncle Ben, Black Bill Gates, all of that. He's probably a good time. He has a good sense of humor. Anyway, so then we get the Dixons are meeting the Darbys for lunch or whatever, because of course Juan and Michael have their little bromance. And while they're there, you know, Michael starts talking about Candiace and Chris and, you know, how he doesn't really like them because they were mean to Ashley, which I completely understand, not liking Candiace for being mean to your wife. The whole thing with him and Chris, I thought kind of was blown out of proportion real fast. Like, I didn't like the way he approached Chris, but I thought Chris's response was like so unnecessary, especially considering he knew Michael was drunk. Like, it was a lot to me. Anyways, so Ashley says that she and Michael are getting back in the saddle, which you would think that means that like their love life, their sex life is kind of improving. But then Bravo shows us this clip reminding us how she was pulling out all the stops and Michael was like, yeah, I'm just really not into it. So she said since they're back in the saddle, now she wanted to start back going out with other couples and things like that. And so of course she wanted to go out with Juan. The shady side of me was kind of like, okay, do y'all go out with Juan in order to get Michael back in the saddle? Because like we all know how Michael feels about Juan. I've been a mess lately. I'm sorry, y'all. Anyways, and so while they're there, they start talking about Robyn and Juan possibly having another baby. And it was really kind of funny to me because Ashley asked the question of, do you all think that you're going to get married first and then have a baby? Do you want to get pregnant first and then get married or whatever? And it was so abundantly clear that they have not talked about wedding plans since he put that ring on her finger. They have zero plans on getting married or anything. And then Robyn threw some shade at Michael and asked him, does people ever confuse him for being the baby's granddaddy? I thought that was rude. And he said, not yet. I thought that was a really rude question. And I don't know if she intended it to be rude, but I wouldn't have liked that question. So it also comes out too at that same meeting that Juan is still kind of, it's a touchy subject for him for Robyn to bring up his lack of participation with the kids. I'm not exactly clear on what happened there, but from what I gather, it was like y'all had kids when he was still playing pro ball. Like, I don't really know how much help you were expecting to get while he's traveling playing pro ball. It really does feel like she's trying to create herself a storyline. And I'll get to that later, but I think Juan feels the same way. Anyways, so then we move forward and Ashley is walking down the street with Chris dressed like the Monopoly man and her mom, and they're getting ready to go sign at this record label. So congrats to her on that. So she signed with E1 Nashville. And if I understand correctly, it's actually a pretty big, reputable label. So she got emotional and all of that. And I thought it was really cool. I love that when she actually signed, Chris was sitting there videoing with his phone. And it's just like, I feel like that was like a real moment. Like, him being supportive, him being excited for her. And of course, her mom being there too. So that was a cool little moment. So then we have Robyn and Juan. And Robyn is at her new warehouse space. So it's like she's renting like a small section of a larger warehouse. And I'm sure that there's several businesses in there, but that's cool because it shows that maybe her business really is growing. And we also see Giselle in an embellished cap this year on this episode, so that was really good. So as she's there, she starts to talk about the possibility again of having this baby, and then she starts talking about how things will need to be different and Juan is going to need to show up as a dad. Juan immediately becomes annoyed. And she's like, well, have you ever changed a diaper? And he's like, come on, yeah, I changed a diaper. And then he pretty much is like done. And he tells her, you're acting stupid and you're making me look like a D-head. And the thing about that, and what I meant earlier about her trying to create a storyline, Robyn knows that she's had nothing to give all season. She's had nothing to give all the entire series, I should say. But I felt like this was the same thing that she and Giselle were doing to Wendy, bringing things up specifically on camera for the sake of a storyline. And that's why Juan didn't just say, that he was upset with her or he was hurt or he was offended. He said, you're making me look like a D-head. And in my mind, he's saying you're making me look like, to the audience, to the public, to the world, like a D-head. And he kept saying, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. And he just walked away. And I think his goal was to get off camera because he knew that she was bringing it up so that it could be a story. And who wants it to be a story that they weren't an available parent? Like, Robyn, like, this is not a smart move. He already barely want to be around you. And then you're going to sit up here and try and embarrass the man on camera. Like, where do you expect this to go relationship wise? Anyways, so yeah, he gets in his car and she's telling him, you're making it a bigger deal than it is. And he's just like, we're not going to do this. And then he says to her, it's always about what I did, but it's never about what you didn't do. And then he kind of laughed and rolled the window up on her and drove off. Yeah, that's embarrassing. I would never want that to be me. I'm out here begging my man not to leave, and he rolled the window up on my behind and pulled off. He handed them folks that microphone. He was done. Because that was the whole thing. This was not something he wanted to be on camera, and she keeps trying to put it on camera. And I understand she's on a reality TV show, so she's supposed to share her life. But if it's also his life and his personal business, you got to understand that he may not be down with it. Anyways, so then at the wedding venue, Karen and her family and everything are all getting prepared. Candiace and her mom arrive first, and Candiace is like, this is ugly. And I had forgotten how ugly the space was outside. I thought inside it was beautiful, but outside, yes, it was ugly. And I had assumed that they were going to do more to create like a grand entrance for the wedding, but no. It was just pull up and a couple of red ropes. Like, what? We couldn't do a red carpet. We couldn't get a get some curtains and like carve out a pathway. Like, we couldn't get no lights. We couldn't get nothing. No pillars, no columns, nothing. It was just, you just pull up, park, and walk into this warehouse. And then once you got inside the warehouse, it really was beautiful. The ladies were complaining about the steps, and I get it, because when you're wearing 4, 5, 6-inch stilettos, doing those solid steps like that, I mean, it's it could be deadly. So I completely understood that they weren't feeling the whole step situation. Candiace's mom is wearing this leopard dress, and she talking about how she just gonna twerk a little. I didn't know why Candiace allowed her mom to wear that leopard dress. I'm glad she stopped her from wearing the boss pin, but the dress wasn't hitting. And why was Mama Dot there? I don't know. I don't be feeling Mama Dot. She can go away just like Miss Wanda, as far as I'm concerned. So I did notice too that Bravo made it a point to show Candiace basically like tossing back her wine, and then they did the same thing to Chris. They're really kind of trying to push that narrative that they drink too much. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know. I don't know if it's aimed at just Candiace and Chris, or just Chris. But we know that they were doing that a couple of weeks ago too. They kept showing while Chris was already a little loose, and they kept showing that he still had this glass in his hand. I don't really like that. You know, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't really think that they should be trying to paint that picture. But maybe that's the reality. I don't know. But we get to see Karen in her dress. And I thought Karen just looked amazing. Like, especially for her age, Karen, I think, has really good style and taste. The dress was spectacular. I love the big, thick, ruffled train. Usually you get a flat train, but she had a big, thick, three-dimensional train, and it was white, so it contrasted the dress. And I thought it was really, really a good look. Wendy, if trying too hard was a person, Wendy, what's this dress? So Wendy is wearing a dress that is so incredibly tight that Eddie had to drive with her in the back seat laying down because she cannot sit. Then he basically had to like pull her out of the back seat. It took him like 10 minutes to get her out of the car. I'm like, it's not that deep. Like, why did you pick this dress? Like, I know you got your new body and all of that and everything. I'm down with it. Show it off, honey. Your body looks great. Show it off. But you can't really show it off if you can't move and you can't dance. That does not look like a good time. You go to a place, and I've done it before. It's a bad idea, I can tell you. You go to a place, you want to move around. You barely can move around. Dinner looks great. You want to have some of that. You can't, because it's going to hurt, because this dress going to be pulling on your stomach. You can't have cake and dessert. You can't drink. Like, she was sitting there on the edge of that chair, like, trying to still keep her body straight and everything because she couldn't actually bend. Wendy, don't try so hard, baby. Just wear a dress that's your size. That's a start. Anyways, so they go ahead and start the vows, and Giselle is making fun of the idea that the pastor keeps referring to the friendship portion of the marriage. And she's like, well, maybe that's why Karen is sliding into so many DMs, is because it's just a friendship. And it's just so ignorant and everything on her part, because in one breath she says her and Karen are cool, but then in the next breath she's accusing her of sliding into DMs, all because she doesn't understand how important friendship actually is in a marriage. And perhaps if she understood that, then she might come across a man who she has a friendship with and can trust, and he won't have 11 kids and, you know, not be paying his taxes and all kinds of nonsense that she's actually been experiencing. So if you didn't catch that, friendship is absolutely important in a marriage. Anyways, so it was really sweet that they gave their vows, and Ray mentioned specifically that he's choosing her all these years and also today, because we know that that was a source of insecurity for Karen, is when he said he wasn't sure if he loved her. And I could completely understand how that would absolutely suck to hear that from your husband you've been married to for so long. But it looks like Ray is finding his way in the relationship, and it was just nice to hear him say that he's choosing her. So then Michael arrives, and Candiace is basically giving Escala the rundown. She's like, he's insufferable. And I'm thinking, like, it takes one to know one, because so are you. Anyways, so Juan is like, we need to squash the beef. So he's trying to get Chris and Michael to squash the beef. Chris begins to attempt to, like, not necessarily apologize, but just to smooth things over. And Michael is not hearing it. You know, he's still upset that Candiace had been so rude to Ashley and so mean to Ashley. And he's like, you kind of got like a backhanded way of apologizing. Like, you put your hands on me and you should apologize. So Robyn is saying that Michael needs to take accountability. And Michael's like, accountability for what? Candiace is like, it's the white privilege of it all. This is the most white privilege. This is white privilege. Okay, Candiace. So, Lord knows there's a hell of a lot of white privilege that goes on in this country today. Okay. But her reasoning for saying that was that she said that was why he couldn't take accountability. Candiace, do you have white privilege? Like, do you take accountability? Like, what is this? Like, you act a plumb fool all the time and you're never wrong. The same thing that she's saying about Michael, he's never wrong. He didn't do anything wrong. He's perfect. That's the white privilege. He's not going to take accountability. It's all the exact same stuff that you do. It's called being ignorant and childish. It's ignorant and childish. It's not white privilege. It's like, that was just so, oh my God. Yes, there is colorism on Real Housewives of Potomac. Absolutely. Yes, there is white privilege in a whole lot of ways, in a whole lot of areas. But is it colorist that I don't like Candiace? Nope. Is it colorist that Wendy can be extremely aggressive? No. Because I don't like Ashley either, or Giselle, or Robyn. And I think Ashley can actually be very, very passively aggressive as well. This was not a case of white privilege. This was a case of just completely obtuse and clueless and being childish. Whatever. Anyways, so Chris does go ahead and apologize. They smooth things over. And Juan is like, can we get a hug? And so Giselle makes this comment about that must be why they apologized and everything so quickly, was because all Michael wanted was a hug from Juan. It was like, he didn't have beef with Juan. Why is he hugging Juan? Why wasn't he hugging Chris? But Giselle, you right. You right. If you want Michael to do something, you just gotta dangle Juan as the prize and he gonna be right there. So everybody gets up and they're dancing. They're all having a good time except for Juan and Robyn, who look absolutely miserable. Like they did not want to be there, or they did not want to be with each other there. And then Michael, because if Juan isn't going on the dance floor, then Michael's certainly not going on the dance floor. So Michael says, it's almost time for me to get out of here. And Juan was like, me too, my Uber on the way. And Michael goes, yeah. I was like, so Robyn is like, why you gotta leave early? And he's like, I got work to do. I ain't saying it, but I'm just saying what it looks like. Come on, honey. So then we have Chris is like shaking his head at Candiace, and she's like, why are you shaking your head at me? And he's like, everything you think you don't have to say out loud. And so he disagrees with the white privilege comment, which, okay, but you're a white male too. So even if it were a case of white privilege, and I can't wait to see what y'all have to say, because I feel like a lot of y'all are going to be like, it was white privilege. Maybe it was. I don't know. I didn't see it that way. But yeah, so Chris is telling her he didn't really agree with her making that comment, and she is doing her same thing. She always is explaining why she's absolutely 100% right in being a jerk. So she's like, that mother blah blah tried to do such and such and such, and I'm not gonna kiss his ass, and blah 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 blah. And she's just like all the way on 10. And he's telling her, like, you have to see things from the other side. One, he's tired of having to fight behind her. That's first. But he's trying to get her to understand that she can sometimes consider other people's perspectives. But she's just going off. And before you know it, she says to him, well, because I wrote it down, you need to shut the F up talking to me. I could never in a million years imagine speaking to my husband like that. What? And he was like, F my life. So how long y'all think this marriage about to last? I hate when people say that about people's marriages and their relationships, but really. Because I feel like Chris is tired. I feel like he's tired. I feel like he loves her to pieces, but he's tired of this nonsense. I don't know. I honestly don't see it lasting much longer, because people get tired unless she's going to do some changing. So Anyways, I honestly think that the clock is ticking on both Candiace and Chris and Robyn and Juan. I don't think that they're going to continue forever and ever and ever just living in that house and, you know, not getting married. I think at some point Juan's going to be like, yeah, I'm done with this TV shit. TV stuff. Anyways, so those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Bye.